Howdy do, partners. It's me, Lance Plus. If you haven't been here before, welcome. If you have, welcome back. Today, I'm going to be doing something that we have never done before here on the channel, and that is talking about comic books. As you can see behind me, I have started to put together a little bit of a wall, and I've been amassing a bit of a collection, and I really wanted to share my journey with you guys. I'm in my introductory period, I would say, but just looking around here, I'm so grateful to be able to finally collect these things in a medium that I've always been so fascinated by. So come along, let me show you some of my favorite books so far, some of my good beginner recommendations. Maybe you will be interested in starting your own collection. And yeah, let's just yap about some books. Here we go. So this first book is really special because I think this is kind of when I started to hit my stride. I had picked up a few comics, but this one in particular really set the tone of what I was enjoying and what I would be picking up more of going forward. So that book is Thor by Jason Aaron. This is one of the coolest, most well-written, just beautifully illustrated. Everything about it is a 10 out of 10. I think that Jason Aaron's writing of Thor is so enthralling. It's just it captures you, and you just want to keep turning the page to see what past, present, and future Thor are going to get up to. The way that they are drawn, the things that are accomplished in these pages by the character Thor is just so unlike the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's what I'm used to. I'm sure that's probably what you are used to as well if you're not super familiar with the source material. But just being able to experience Thor and his full potential. He is a god, and on these pages you really do get to experience that. This was the first one that I picked up, that being Gorr the God Butcher Saga, and the way that it begins and it slowly unwinds the story. I don't want to spoil too much if you are planning on reading this, and you absolutely should. It's just masterfully written by Jason Aaron, and the art by Asad Ribic, I hope I'm saying that correctly, is even more superb. It is so calm and serene on some of the pages, and then you'll turn and Thor's godly rage and wrath will come into play, and the way that the thunder and the sound effects on the page is just it's so good. It just comes out of the book, and it just it's perfect. I cannot say enough. I find myself just getting flustered thinking about it. I want to read it again. So I did pick up this one first, and then I went down the rabbit hole even farther, and I picked up another one, and then I got a hardcover as well because it kind of had to accompany things. Don't ask questions, just know Jason Aaron's Thor really set things off for me, and I was like, I have to read these books. So with that being said, read Jason Aaron's Thor. I'll probably end up doing a solo video on this because the whole run so far has been amazing. I'm at, I think I've finished at issue 25. I don't want to start saying things. Yeah, so I'm on issue 25, Tales of Thunder. And the reason why I'm not farther is because after you get to issue 24, things deviate a little bit, and that leads me into my next book or books. Since I was reading Jason Aaron's Thor and loving it so much, apparently there was an event that ties into it, and that event being Original Sin. This was something that I have never heard of before. I was not familiar with. I had no clue what I was getting into, but the cover alone, at the bottom here, it says, "Who shot the Watcher?" I was like, okay, I know who the Watcher is. I'm familiar with that alone. That's a really cool story. So it's a murder mystery with Thor, Captain America, Wolverine, Nick Fury, Spider-Man, a bunch of our favorite heroes running around solving this murder mystery. The way that the mystery unravels through the pages is really cool, and it is accompanied by another book. That's why I said books. That being Original Sin, Thor, and Loki. This is where Angela, Thor, and Loki's sister is introduced. I love Angela and Marvel Rivals, so I feel like it was kind of obligated to pick this one up. Can't say too much about it because it was quite a quick read, but what I can say is what it did for introducing Angela as a character was very cool. It kind of reestablishes her lore, to my understanding. They kind of retconned whatever her previous stuff was, and this is hopefully the new norm going forward. Loki's really cool in the comic. I'm not familiar with him in his own run, but I'm sure at some point I will be. But Thor definitely goes through some very impactful, character-changing things in Original Sin, Thor, and Loki. So if you are going through this thick Thor run by Jason Aaron, you should also pick up Original Sin and its accompanying Original Sin, Thor, and Loki, the 10th realm. With that being said, let's go to the next ones. Another book that really caught me off guard because I just wasn't particularly interested in this character was Planet Hulk. This was such a phenomenal read. Just like Jason Aaron's Thor, I found myself being swept away by Hulk as a character. I think that the way that he's written here in comparison to his MCU counterpart is so much cooler. I think experiencing Hulk and him being afraid of his rage and wrath in this way is so much more unique of an experience than how it comes across on the screen. I know that there's limitations to how they can have Hulk in the MCU, contracts and all that corpo business. I don't care too much about all of that, but what I do care about is this is a amazing story. It takes place during the Civil War era, so Hulk is not present, and this is a very good explanation as to why he isn't. He is away on a planet called Sakaar, and he was sent there by Iron Man, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, and Reed Richards, I think. Maybe I'm missing somebody, but this is in the first couple pages, so it's no spoilers. But the way that Hulk evolves through the course of this story is incredible, and its accompanying story that comes after this, World War Hulk, was just as incredible. After I went through this, and it's quite the thick one, especially if you get the smaller collection here, I found myself just craving more Hulk. So I found myself in the comic store and it was right in front of my eyes. I had to pick it up. So if you are interested in Hulk in any capacity, and I really wasn't, but I got this little Marvel Premiere collection and it kind of blew my mind with what Hulk could be like in a comic. So I'm definitely a Hulk fan now. And this one with the black suit, Spidey on the front, is such a beautiful one. Any hoosies. I won't say too much more about these because I'll probably end up making another complete video about these as well. I just wanted to show you guys some of my good introductory picks in this starter collection. On to the next one. Actually, before getting into the next one, I just want to briefly say that the Marvel Premiere Collection is a fantastic way to get into collecting these comics physically. They're $15, and I think for something like Planet Hulk in this compact form, you really can't beat that. The DC compacts are like $10, I believe they are. So those are also a great alternative if you're looking to get in on that side of things. But I just wanted to say, if you want some good, reasonably affordable comics, pick up some Marvel Premieres. So staying in line with characters that also have films, we have Old Man Logan. And this completely took me by surprise yet again. I think that the film is phenomenal. You probably do as well. But what is depicted here in these pages is drastically different. I think that the pacifism that Logan displays in these early pages is really cool because it's a stark contrast to what he's typically like, where he's just bouncing off the walls ready to tear anybody apart. In this, he's a broken man, a completely shattered, destroyed shell of what he once was, and is with good reason. And I won't say why, because the payoff of getting there and unsolving that mystery is really cool. But the early pages, I'm pretty sure it begins with Logan walking through the forest, and I'll probably put some nice HD images up for you guys. Logan's walking through the forest, and he is completely disheveled, costume torn up to bits, and he looks like he's just been defeated and he's alone. And that is all you get to see from the past, and it jumps to the present, and Logan is a very old man, and he's having a hard time. I just don't want to say too much about this because I want you to have your own experience. But the artwork, the writing, Mark Millar, phenomenal at writing an older Logan. And I'm not familiar with Mr. Miller's work outside of this too much, but I certainly will be. I think that the solemn, serene, calm demeanor that Logan just exudes in those early pages, and even through the whole book for the most part, is just really cool. And the artwork by Steve McNiven, crazy. I hope that everybody on this team got exactly what they deserved after making this book. I'm sure that they're doing some fantastic things now to this day, but I'm just so excited to dive into more of all these creative teams' works, especially because some people like some of the duos, I'm like, y'all really crazy. Anywhoosies, let's talk about the next comic. This next one is quite special because this is a character that I've always found myself really drawn to, just because of how they operate with their powers, and that is Daredevil, Born Again by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. I'm really hoping I'm saying that last name correctly. I have not seen the Born Again series. I have only seen the first season or two of the Netflix Daredevil, and I loved it. I just haven't gotten around to seeing the newer stuff, but after reading this, I certainly will be getting back to that very soon. But what is here is incredible. Frank Miller, I think, to my understanding, he kind of established what our modern Matt Murdock is, what a modern Daredevil is going to be going forward. And this is not a happy story. What is in these pages is a story of anguish, a tale of great loss and of rebuilding. And I think this is something that a lot of us, myself very much so, can relate to. The things that Matt Murdock undergoes in this story and how he deals with it, it's very raw, it's very real. And I think that if you are a Daredevil fan, or if you're thinking about being into Daredevil in any capacity, this is a book that you absolutely have to pick up. Go to your local comic store. I'm sure that they will have this little premiere collection. Pick this up. And the art is so cool. I don't know, I'm still quite new to this. I don't know if you consider this Silver Age, whatever the case might be, but the artwork is slightly older, but it is amazing. The way that the colors pop off the page, the way that the dynamic movement is when Daredevil is jumping across rooftops, it's just really, 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 really superb, being able to dive into a character that I've loved for so long, and I really haven't gotten to see in the pages, only on a screen. So Daredevil Born Again is definitely highly recommended on this list. I can't say enough great things about it, but we'll probably be talking about this in its own video as well. For our last Marvel Premiere Collection, this one is also a film, but yet again, drastically different. And I needed to know what this one was like. And after reading Hulk, it just made sense. Is Civil War. This was so cool to experience finally. I've known about this for a long time, and everybody's always said, oh, it's mad different, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get to it eventually. I got to it. After reading Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, I can't remember if I did Planet Hulk and then World War Hulk directly after, and then Civil War. I'm pretty sure I did this and then World War Hulk. Doesn't matter. The point is, I read Planet Hulk and then I read this and I was like, oh my gosh, it made Planet Hulk so much more satisfying. It made reading this so much more satisfying. And I just think Steve on the pages is a character that I've always been really intrigued by, and I think that his MCU counterpart is insanely cool, especially now that I'm a young man and I just recently experienced all of the films back to back to back to back. Captain America was some of my favorite films, Civil War being one of them, and being able to see Steve Rogers on the pages here even more so solidified. I really like this character. So going forward, I'm definitely going to be picking up some more Cap. Iron Man, I found really enjoying as a child. These days, I think Tony is still really cool. But in terms of this story, I definitely align myself far more with Steve. And for those of you who don't know, for some odd reason, Civil War is essentially Tony versus Steve in a superhero registration act where Tony wants to be with the government. Steve don't want to do none of that shit at all. So they get to button heads. Some things happen. And what does take place is, I think, a far better story here than it was on the screen. With that being said, the one that we got in MCU is insane. Generational. Black Panther, Spider-Man, same movie. What are we talking about? But what they were able to work with here is a night and day difference. The spreads that are on some of these double pages is insane. The amount of characters that you see just battling it out is madness. They were just able to work with more here, and it shows. So I definitely recommend this one too, but probably don't read this until you have a little bit more knowledge of Tony, Steve, and the surrounding characters like Spider-Man and whatnot. But if you already have a good base knowledge, I think that this might be a pretty good starting point if you so choose. But you have been warned. Yeah. But that is it for the Premiere collections. I do have some more Premiere collections, but I haven't read those in completion yet, so I don't necessarily want to tell you too much about those, but we'll get to those in another video. This one is an honorable mention type of thing. I haven't read it yet, but I picked it up very, very recently, within like the last few days, because I've heard so much about this one individual in particular. And when I heard about this dude, I would always see another dude on the cover. We ain't got to do too much. I'm talking about Do a Power Bomb by Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer. I have seen these two names so much. Every time I'm looking up, I'm like, okay, what comics are good? What should I be looking out for? Do a Power Bomb. Daniel Warren Johnson alone has just been everywhere. Somebody was in the comic store I was at, I can't remember what it was called. It's in Parker, Colorado. The name I am forgetting at the moment, but I'll put it on the screen. Crazy comic book store. But one of the bros over there was telling me that Daniel Warren Johnson is your favorite artist's favorite artist. It's like MF Doom. He's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Don't worry about it. I need to know, so I'm going to dive into these pages and I will report back on how I feel. I did pop it open briefly just to see what was going on, but the cover alone is ridiculous. And to my understanding, Daniel Warren Johnson is a writer, illustrator in one. So I really, really value stuff like that. I myself dabble a little, and I get such great inspiration seeing people like this just doing the full vision, and executing at such a high level. So again, I'll report back on Do a Power Bomb. I do also have Beta Ray Bill coming in as well because I've been enjoying Jason Aaron Thor so much. I figured I should see what's going on with that. So I'll probably read Beta Ray Bill first, and then I'll probably get into this. And then we'll talk about some Daniel Warren Johnson and see what's going on. What's going on? Yeah, any whoosies. Slide just went off to the side. So I had to do a brief intermission. They were doing all types of whoop wop outside, mad noises. Don't worry about it. We're back in peaceful times now. With that being said, I've pretty much got all of the Marvel books out the way. I do have a few more, like this Doctor Strange, Jason Aaron, but I haven't read it yet. So I'm not going to say too much about that. But if you already know how it goes with the Jason Aaron Thor, I'm thinking this is going to be peak as well. But I'll report back on that. I'm not going to say too much about the Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman. I've been going through, as you can see maybe back there, I got some of the S.H.I.E.L.D. issue 1 through 6 of the first S.H.I.E.L.D. run from I think 2014, 2010, I think it's 2010. I read those, loved it. Apparently I'm leading up to Secret Wars, so I'm building up to it. So I got this Fantastic Four Volume 1 by Mr. Hickman because apparently this is fantastic and this is a very integral part to leading up to that event. And I'll probably end up getting Avengers by Jonathan Hickman. Some other things I think are in there as well. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to talk about Spider-Man Life Story because I haven't finished this, but I am about halfway through and I want to do a complete, concise video on that because this is really special. And if you see the shirt, Peter's very special to me. Me and Pete been like this since I was a wee lad. So this really means a lot, but we're not gonna do that right now. And I'm not gonna talk about the X-Men right here, the new X-Men by Grant Morrison, because I also want to do a standalone video on this because X-Men, similar to Spider-Man, very important to me, very pivotal to me as a person, my childhood. Just we'll get into that when we talk about this bad boy and probably the rest of them in its own video. With that being said, that's all the Marvel stuff. Now let's get into some DC books that I'm excited to read, that I've kind of already read digitally, but I now have the physicals for. Those being the Absolute series. We have Absolute Batman, Martian Manhunter, and Superman. I've read Superman issue 1 through 4 digitally, I think it was. And I read a few issues of Absolute Batman when it first came out digitally. I have not read Absolute Martian Manhunter, but people have been raving about this everywhere I go. Again, I'm in a comic store at Amanda. I'm talking about, oh, Absolute Martian Manhunter, so creative, so amazing. I'm gonna find out, and I'm gonna let you know how I feel. I'm very excited to get into this one. I've heard good things about Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez. I'm excited for this one. Just the cover alone is so like, wow. It's mesmerizing. Just like looking at it, I'm getting sucked into it. Anywhoosies. So we got some absolutes that I will be going through. I think all of these are 1 through 6, the issues that they contain. And I think Superman is probably the one I'm most intrigued. I do really want to read these ones, but like Superman is a character that I have never been really into, but I found myself with the first few issues of this being pretty into it. So we're gonna see what's going on, especially when the run gets in deeper. I know there's Absolute Flash, Wonder Woman. I'll probably get those too, but for now, that's what we got. And I got 2 little compacts to close us out. We got Court of Owls and the Flash Rebirth. I have been so intrigued in reading Flash properly. I've been going through some older Flash by I think Mark Waid. Probably correct myself on here, but I'm pretty positive that's who it is. I've been reading those digitally on the Infinite app. Super good. I'm gonna be reading this soon enough, as well as the Court of Owls. Everybody loves Batman. We all love Bruce Wayne. Don't know what the heck is gonna go on in the Court of Owls, but I've heard great things about this too. The cover art alone is really interesting. The name is super fascinating. I've heard great things from Scott Snyder, so I'm really intrigued to see how this goes. And if I do enjoy this enough, maybe I'll end up getting those big, thick omnibuses. Omnibus. The camera died. We're back. Don't think about it too much. We're here again. Thank you for watching. This really means a lot to me, being able to finally talk about these. I've been itching to make this video since I started building the collection for like the first 5 books. I'm gonna keep you guys updated on any new finds, all of the new finds really. I'll take you along the journey. Maybe we'll do like a little comic book store video where you can come along with me and see how the selection process go, how I curate the collection. Maybe we'll go to a con. I know that Denver has some fun things going on. I'm still pretty new around here, but we'll see. I'm grateful. I'm so happy to be able to indulge myself in this fashion, to be able to put the books up on the wall and see them over there glistening beautifully. I'm just really, really, really pleased. So I want to be able to share that with you guys. I found myself as a wee lad constantly digesting stories, and they would change my life. The courage that was displayed in the pages, the wit, the stealthy like nature of some of the characters, it really does seep into my soul, like the vulnerable moments that they have and how they're just not ashamed to be different, to be weird, to be themselves. And I think that is something that is always really beautiful to constantly have be just pushed into the forefront of your mind. So I hope you're enjoying life as much as I am. This is genuinely so cool. So I'm gonna get the heck up on out of here. I hope you guys are having a great rest of your day, night, or whatever the heck time it may be. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace, peace.